Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. May the divine being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the divine being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto thee, unto us, and to all beloved beings everywhere. Om Hari Om. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace. Peace be unto thee, unto us, and to all beloved beings everywhere. Dearly beloved, make it so. So welcome this morning to our Sunday talk. The subject this morning, this 26th of November 2023, is salvation. Before I begin the rambling talk about that subject, Cindy will read what was published in the newsletter introducing the topic.
Okay. When spiritual purification is complete and your eyes have opened to revelation of your true inner being, salvation can begin. This typically starts with the arrival of your teacher, the answer to your burning desire to be jivanmuktha, free of bondage while still alive. Your prayer for deliverance, salvation, can then be answered. On Sunday morning, we'll discuss your role and the teachers in how this is achieved.
Thank you, Cindy. Let's start with the teachers. Each of the great teachers comes with a model or methodology for salvation. Whether we go all the way back to Rama, who, of course, modeled rectitude. You honored promises, even those made on your behalf, and you did not shirk difficulty because you could as a royal person. So he modeled for us salvation through rectitude. If we come forward then to Sri Krishna, we see the model built on living sacramentally, offering everything to the divine, all actions, all fruits of actions, all perceptions, all thoughts, all activities of the mind and heart, offering them as a sacrament to the divine, so that you are relieved of the bondage of self and are free. We can go to the Lord Buddha. The Lord Buddha said that the difficulty of life revolves around suffering, and so he gave us the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And that was his way. If you followed his instructions, you would be free. You would be saved. Adi Shankaracharya gave us the way of non-dualism. If you simply see nothing but Brahman, if you simply embody nothing but Brahman, you attain that state, then of course you are free from all bondage. There's nothing to hold you, let alone any consideration of being held. Then we come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the great teacher of the bhakti path. And he said, chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. Now, if those two things happen, the mirror of the heart is wiped clean, and so you see accurately what is reflected there, and there is no longer any cravings from that raging furiously within, then of course you're free. Which brings us to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna came for no other reason than to save us, to offer us salvation, to set us free. As it says in Breaker of This World's Chain, how great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. And once again, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Master suggests the bhakti path. Offer your life and everything that you are and experience to the divine, appreciate it as the loving grace of the divine as best you can, and once that process proceeds far enough, you will be free. You will be saved, simply because there's nothing that you see or experience that can hold you. Now, because of this has come down to us over the millennia, the 4 yogas have also been designed and devised in order to give us freedom. Of course, Bhakti Yoga has been described. In Bhakti Yoga, you ultimately, your prayer and desire is for total self-surrender and union in the embrace of the divine. In Karma Yoga, as I said, it is living sacramentally, recognizing nothing as your own. No action, no fruit of action, no thought, no feeling, no perception. It's all the divine and the divine's doing. In Raja Yoga's methodology is yet different. What do we find is the goal of Raja Yoga? Well, the Raja Yoga gives us 2 ideas. Vrittis, the mental modifications, the thoughts and feelings and emotions that go through the mind and heart, and the chitta, the mind stuff, the mind and heart. When through the practice of Raja Yoga's limbs, the activities propounded by Patanjali, we manage to still those vrittis in the mind stuff. This is how Swami Vivekananda speaks of it. when we have managed to achieve the goal of Raja Yoga, then our universe disappears. We are saved. Salvation is there because there's nothing to hold us, which is the same idea, but thought of very differently in Advaita or Jnana Yoga. In Jnana Yoga, since there is only Brahman, of course there is nothing to hold you. So these are the ways taught by the four yogas. Each of them, of course, we can say Narada for bhakti and so on and so forth. They also have a great teacher behind them. So before moving ahead, is there anything that anyone would like to offer from their own wisdom or experience about these things, or any concern or question as to what's been said? Anything at all from anyone? Please do come forward. This is what it means to study the art of spirituality together. Now, that's not a demand. It's simply an invitation. If you have something to say, please do say it.
Brother Shankara, I think the way I understand what Lord Buddha taught, it was more about the Janan or Gyan Yoga. Like you also mentioned the other yoga path, that is what I understood, to realize yourself. And that is how you basically understand yourself.
Well, Vivekananda thought of Lord Buddha as the greatest of the karma yogis. The karma yoga arises from compassion, and the Buddha is known as the compassionate one. So I certainly appreciate the way you spoke about it, and Jnana Yoga is there, no doubt. You cannot ever escape the idea of non-duality if you're going to think about these things deeply, as the Buddha, of course, did. But it's the work done according to the Eightfold Path is basically right thinking, right doing, right action. So it's based in doing. Thank you. Anything else from anyone? All right. I mentioned in that reading that Cindy did that one of the things that would happen when you're pursuing this path is that a teacher will arrive in your life. Now, that teacher may arrive in a disembodied form as a video, and a very old film like the ones of Swami Prabhavananda speaking in the 50s and 60s, or a more recent one like Swami Sarvapriyananda speaking about non-dualism, or the many other things he speaks about. Or it may come in the form of a book.
Yes.
You may suddenly discover something in a book that you've been reading many times, or you may find a new book that there's something in it that suddenly, yes, this was my experience in 1975.
Mhm.
I was first reading the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and I came across his talk, The Real and the Apparent Man. And I got so excited, I literally jumped up from the little kitchen table in the breakfast nook there in Glendale, California, and was hopping up and down, saying with excitement, "That's it, that's it, that's it." And my wife came into the room and said, "What is it that's got you so excited?" And I said, "I finally found something that speaks a truth that I can deeply and truly believe in. My salvation had begun." I of course had met Swami Prabhavananda, and he had come and gone long before. No, this was 1975, so he left in 1976. But, I had encountered him. But my real teacher over the decades was Swami Swahananda, who I didn't meet really until 1981. He came to the society in December of 1976, but I didn't really meet him until some years later. Excuse me. So this will happen to you if you're pursuing if you're pursuing this path sincerely and with determination, a teacher will arise. And the thing to do is be very alert for this, because as soon as that happens, the process will accelerate. Now, are there any questions or comments or concerns about this idea of the teacher and who they are and how they arrive in your life? Because I don't want to go on if there's any question in your mind about who this is, what is meant by the term teacher, and so on.
I would like to comment one thing about not the teacher. You also mentioned that the book, for me, that turning point was reading Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. It totally changed my perception about myself, how I think, how the things are. So,
well, that was the teacher for you. That was at least a teacher for you. The books, all of these thousands of books that we have, they represent teachers. Each one is a teacher. How qualified they are depends on how far they've come along the path before they set what they've experienced down in their books. But definitely. So what was it again you learned from this book, and who was the teacher?
the teacher was Eckhart Tolle. Let me, yeah, this was the book, The Power of Now. And
Yes.
he is the one, Eckhart Tolle. So this
And-
changed my perception.
And what is it that changed your perception?
It basically told me, stop worrying about the past. Past has gone. You cannot change the past.
Yes.
But learn lesson from the past, because there are lessons involved always.
Yes.
And do not suppress your emotions, because those emotions will again come back. You cannot change the world. You need to let those emotions out of yourself, and you need to experience those emotions and let them go. What Eckhart Tolle says, that is the pain body. So that will arrive. Situations will change, people will change, but if you do not let those emotions go, you will suffer always.
Yes.
Also, do not think about the future, because that is beyond your control. The only thing, future is what? The moment to be lived now, which is going to happen later. So everything I have is now. So live in the present. That's what I understood. Stop worrying about future. That doesn't mean that do not plan, but that planning will be happening now for the future. So don't take your mind and do the future tripping. That's what I understood.
Oh, yes. And isn't there great freedom in what he tells you to do? There's great freedom in that. You're no longer a prisoner of the past. You're no longer pining away and yearning about the future. You're living now, even as you say. Even you're planning for the future is done now. And we must acknowledge that most of our plans for the future don't work out. There's a jest, a little joke that says, one of the ways to make God laugh is to make a plan.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much for all of that. And Eckhart Tolle is one of the teachers that is available to us now in book form. I don't know if he's still alive or not.
He is, he is.
He is still alive?
He is still alive. He lives in Vancouver.
Wonderful. Well, good. So he's accessible to you. That's excellent. Anything else from anyone?
I'll go. This is Tom. Can you hear me okay,
Yes,
Shankara?
Hear you fine.
I also read The Power of Now, and a long time ago. I just thought it was a wonderful book, and it points at something that a bunch of other teachers have pointed at. But it seems like I have to hear these basic truths told over and over and over again by different people, and they sink in more deeply. I'm thinking of The Power of Now, and then earlier there was Ram Dass's book, Be Here Now.
Mhm.
A lot of the Buddhist meditation teachers point to that, just be here now, just moment to moment, pay attention, this moment, then this moment, then this moment. And for me, there was an intellectual understanding of it, and then there's the actual experience of it, a real powerful experience, which now comes and goes. But I think it first happened in meditation, that it's like I'm dying and being reborn every moment, and there's this moment. Here's Tom Carr doing this moment, then he dies, and then here's Tom Carr doing this moment, and then he dies, and then here's Tom Carr doing this moment. And there's a wonderful freedom in that.
Yes.
Because there's nothing to hold on to. And initially, the feeling of nothing to hold on to can be frightening, or it was for me, but then it's real liberating. There's a song by the Byrds a long time ago, and I don't remember the exact lyrics, but he said, I will keep falling as long as I live and without ending, and never hit bottom and keep falling through, just relaxing and paying attention. And that's what it feels like. Just letting go, and there's a feeling of falling, like, oh no, I'm falling. But then it's like, yeah, but there's no bottom, there's nothing to hit, so I'm flying. Anyway, that's the best I can describe it or talk about it. So
Well, thank you as always, Tom, for your authenticity and your willingness to share yourself with us. One of the phrases that you used more than once in what you said was pay attention. Pay attention, of course, is what the training of the mind is as we learn to practice concentration and meditation. We learn to control our attention. It's in fact most of what Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are about. After you get through the beginning, where you release selfishness, you practice the yamas, you practice releasing those bad, by bad I mean inauspicious ways of behaving, and you replace them with the niyamas. As soon as you do that, you then begin to move into the practices that teach you to control your attention. And when we actively practice concentration and meditation, that's what we're learning to control. As a matter of fact, a talk is given every once in a while, the title of which is What Deserves Your Attention? When we begin to have control of our attention and begin to then look with discrimination at what deserves our attention, we find that most of what goes on in the world does not deserve our attention. It isn't that we lack compassion for all of the pain and suffering that goes on in the world, and for that matter, share in the exaltation for the joy that goes on in the world. But it really doesn't deserve a lot of our attention beyond our compassion or our shared joy with those people. It isn't going to carry us very far forward. What will carry us forward is the better and more refined control of our attention, which is another way of saying be free or be saved or salvation. Anything else from anyone? This is wonderful. This is exactly what we...
One thing I would like to say, since Tom mentioned both about Ram Dass and Eckhart Tolle, there is a beautiful interview on YouTube where they both are present and talking about now. And it was just before Ram Dass passed away. So you might be interested in that if you haven't already watched.
A YouTube interview with the two of them. I will try and find that and listen to it. Absolutely. I'm sure I can find it on YouTube. Thank you for suggesting it. Anything? Yes.
You know what I was thinking? There's an old Chinese saying that when a student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes.
That means the teachers keep on coming in our life, but we are not ready. And therefore we do not learn. The same thing applies, for example, to Buddha. He was Siddhartha prince. He just saw an old man, a dead man, a deceased man, one time in his life, and he learned the lesson. They were the teachers. And he said that these are the people who keep me tethered to life. And he identified his wife as a tethering force. And he liberated himself. So it is very interesting that the pregnancy in a medical language is sometimes called confinement, which to me is very interesting. That is a confinement. So once you attain a human body, it has the freedom to do what it wants, but it becomes self-imprisoned so that you don't come out of it. And this lesson is given in a number of ways. For example, the chest in a medical language is called thoracic cage. You go to anywhere. So these are the constant reminders that we are being held a prisoner, not because of somebody else, but out of our own willingness or absence of willpower, whatever it is. This is the reason why Shankaracharya hit right there. Kato Kanta Kasya Putra. Who is your father? Who is your mother? Who is your son? Who are you? So he pointed out straight to that one that the relatives are called relatives, but they are relative. They are not absolute.
Very well said. And I think it's interesting that this, what you just said about Adi Shankaracharya's questions, these were echoed by Lord Jesus Christ. Who is my mother? Who is the one? So throughout the teachings of the great teachers, we find these echoes of these great truths. And so we can take them seriously and make them a part of our understanding of the world we live in, or as you say, we can let them slide by. Thank you as always, Bhagirath. That was great.
May I share?
Please.
To me, books and books. I can never get tired of reading, particularly autobiographies of great men. like Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography or Swami Vivekananda's series of articles and books. Wayne Dyer, few years ago, Wayne Dyer brought such positive and such creative ideas of how to spiritualize your life. So, at any stage of life, for me, particularly autobiographies, teach me a lot that how this person from point A to point B to C to the highest point of self-development, how that person moved, because then I can identify that nobody is born great. Everybody moves from being ordinary to less ordinary to more ideal or idealistic. So there is a lot that I learned from Gandhiji's autobiography, from Ramdas' autobiography. So books are, I think, the great source. And sometimes prayers, certain prayers are so powerful and they penetrate your own, what shall I say, restlessness and agitation. And how, for example, Saint Mirabai constantly had a dialogue with Krishna.
Yes.
And she complained everything and called him sweetheart, husband, every kind of relationship. But she shared every bit of her concerns and secrets with Krishna. So everybody may have either saint or Krishna or a real person as an idea from whose life you learn, because at some point in your life, you must have felt the way they felt and vice versa. So I learned a great deal from such inspiring authors and books.
It's Mirabai is so sweet because she scolds Sri Krishna for spending time with others, particularly other women.
Yeah.
Well, how can you do this to me? And of course, she's so eloquent in her teachings, and we teachers, as Bhagirath pointed out, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And so this is why you must be on the alert. You as a spiritual aspirant must be on the alert, because the teacher will not come and say, here I am, I'm your teacher. No, they will simply quietly offer you an invitation. They just quietly offer you an invitation to learn more. And that may come in the form of a book.
Yes.
These books often have wonderful, the first chapters or introductions to many of these books.
Yeah.
Are nothing more than a very well articulated invitation to share something with that writer, who will become a teacher if you accept their invitation. But the immediate effect of a personal teacher, of someone that you actually are face to face with, can be so powerful. The very first moment I saw Swami Prabhavananda, he came into the temple there at Hollywood, glanced out into the crowd, and there was this great uprush of spiritual feeling. And it resulted in my coming to tears. And by meeting him that very morning, and I'm told by the person who introduced me to him, being accepted as his disciple. Now, that was not something I knew was going to happen. So this person who invited me to see him said, "Oh, you must come and see Swami Prabhavananda." It was an invitation. All right, I accepted. And I'm forever grateful to that woman for bringing me. But this same thing, in your own way, mine was dramatic. Well, I'm dramatic by nature. So it was dramatic. Yours may not be so dramatic. There have been other teachers, as I said. Swami Prabhavananda came and went relatively quickly in my life, 3.5 years. But then there were the decades from 1981 to 2012 with Swami Swahananda. And then since then with Swami Sarvadevananda. All these people are their current. Swami Sarvadevananda is available to you. Other Swamis of the order are available to you at the various centers. And of course, 2 are coming very soon here. December 2nd and 3rd, Pravrajika Vrajaprana is coming. Now, I've known Vrajaprana since she was in her early 20s. This is truly a remarkable nun. If you miss the opportunity to either see her in person, which would be preferable, or watch her videos, what she does will be videoed, of course, and posted on our YouTube channel. If you miss that opportunity, you will be having missed something. She is a teacher. She is a voice, a face of the eternal teacher, as is Swami Satyamayananda, who is coming January 6th and 7th. He's now serving as head of the Vedanta Society in Seattle, Washington. But he's coming here to visit with us. And again, if you have the opportunity to either see him in person, preferable, or at the very least, watch his videos, you will be filled with a special kind of energy that these people share. Why? Because they are carrying it directly from Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is not dead any more than Christ is dead. Christ said, when two or more of you are gathered together in my name, I shall come among you. Well, Sri Ramakrishna said that after he left the body in 1886, that he would remain with us for 200 years in his subtle body. And then he would be born again. It would be necessary for him to be born again, to renew the great spiritual wave that is the end of the Kali Yuga. This is what we're told. So don't think that Sri Ramakrishna, his energy, is not embodied in these, his teachers as they come. It is, and if you ask them directly, they will tell you it is so. And I encourage you to poke that honeycomb and say, where do you receive the energy? Where is it that you get what you are telling us? And see what they say. It will be interesting, I guarantee you. Anything else from anyone?
I want to share one thing.
Yes.
Around age, very impressionable age of 16 or 17, first time when I heard Ma Anand Mai Ma. And she visited our town and she gave regular lectures at somebody's home. And there was something about her face, her voice, her demeanor. And there was a big crowd coming every day. And I, as a young girl, could not get tired of listening to her. Her voice, Bengali, and so sweet, trying to speak Hindi with Bengali accent. And ke babuji, oh boluji, oh, and she, I cannot completely copy her, but her tenderness, her total, what shall I say, transparency of her heart,
Ah,
that impact is still visible in my eyes. So Anandmayi Ma was an ordinary gruhini or housewife. And she went into this kind of deep self, not self-awareness, but inner inspiration. And whatever she does, she would just stop and get immersed in her kind of meditation. And
yes,
that made such an impact.
a kind of samadhi,
Samadhi.
kind of, as you say, her meditation.
Yeah.
And the word you use, transparency.
Yes.
The outer form becomes transparent and you can see, you
Yeah.
can feel,
Yeah.
you can experience the
Exactly.
divine person within.
Yeah.
This is the great, this is what comes to those who pursue this path, and why I encourage you to, when you can, be in the presence of Ramakrishna order nuns and monks,
Yeah.
because they are given that gift
Mhm.
by Sri Ramakrishna.
Mhm.
That is the grace that comes to them.
Mhm.
And believe me, for those of you who haven't experienced it, please believe me, it is there and you can experience it.
Yes.
Particularly anyone who's bent in this direction, who is here this Sunday morning because of the way they feel about these things, you will be able to experience it. What time is it?
Brother Shankara, can you hear me? This is Swayam.
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you.
11:42.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would you make some comment on the transfer of some kind of spiritual experience or a glimpse of transcendental experience from a guru to a disciple?
Yes. Swami Prabhavananda said he said two metaphors he used. One was lighting a candle
Mhm.
from another candle. The candle of the teacher is lit. They invite you to bring your candle forward, and they light that candle from their own. Now you have a small fire within yourself that you can nurture and turn into a blazing flame of spiritual aspiration and achievement. And the other metaphor that he used was just holding a fruit in the palm of your hand and extending it. Here's an apple. Take the apple. Now eat from the apple. And of course, he wasn't making some gesture toward the Garden of Eden. That wasn't what was contained in that. So but the thing that is true for the open heart, it is only the open hand that can receive. The same is true of the heart. When your heart is open and you come into the presence of one of these beings, they don't have to do anything and you don't have to do anything. It simply happens automatically that you feel something from it. That's what I meant by telling you that personal story about Swami Prabhavananda and the first time I saw him. And many, many times afterwards, I would feel something very special in his presence. We used to go for walks with him. He walked during the day. And he would give us a 3-finger blessing like this. Put his 3 fingers on your forehead. And it was a special moment. And sometimes I would see him as he was walking toward me. I would see something more than this small form of a man who was just over 5 feet tall in his shoes.
So, sorry.
Go ahead.
In the presence of many of the visiting swamis, I've had moments of all I can express is a joy, even though
Yeah.
it was like a moment or few moments. Joy and the feeling that I was not being judged and kind of receiving a pure love. Is that a part of this candle flame transfer?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That joy that you're feeling. That's why I'm saying you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think, oh, I want some joy. No, it just comes. And that joy is, it is our nature to be joyful. It is our nature. It is the nature of the Atman to express joy. It's one of the divine attributes of the Saguna Atman. This joyfulness, this cheerfulness. And why don't we experience it more regularly? It's because it's covered up, it's disguised by all of the distractions. In the presence of one of these great teachers, in these people who are living in that frame of reference more than we are, it automatically breaks through our distractions. So yes.
You know,
And more time you can spend with them, the better.
I think you're really feeling
Thank you.
Thakur through the Swami. It's like when they remove their will and they're the machine and the machine has no will, and Sri Ramakrishna is the operator, you're feeling Sri Ramakrishna manifesting literally through the avatar of the Swami.
Precisely. They will tell you that if you ask them. That's what I mean by poke the honeycomb. Where does this come from? And they'll tell you it's Thakur. It's Thakur Ma. Whatever is appropriate to the moment. You know, as Sri Ramakrishna said, for spiritual things, come to me. For things of the world, go to the mother. And so she's constantly there. It isn't that we can't go to her for spiritual things. Of course we can. But then it's in her role as being one with the master. But she is the one who is, if we have some worldly issue or worldly concern or fear or pain, we take it to her and put it at her feet. It's a daily practice here.
Thank you.
Well, you're most welcome, dear. I'm so glad you brought these things up. Again, thanks for being willing. Thanks for your willingness to be self-revelatory. It means so much for the congregation to share in this way. Our love for one another deepens when we see that others experience things very like what we experience.
And, I think the more you purify the mind and the heart, the stronger the realization of the Takuma coming through the Swami you'll have.
Yes. And they will aid with that purification. This idea of purification and revelation, it is an automatic process. It starts with purification from the moment you're born. And as that goes on, and it'll go slowly if left to itself. It'll be accelerated by spiritual practices. And at some point, your eyes are opened. And first, just as flashes, as we've heard, but later on, we are able to more and more be here now with the truth of our being. And as someone asked about, that is full of joy. It is full of cheer. It is full of the divine attributes of Saguna Atman, which are compassion, love, all of the attributes that we would like to receive from the divine. These are abundantly there, and this is why our spiritual practices lead us to the Atman and begin to hear what the Atman says to us in silence, which are all these great divine attributes, which are the components of our salvation. How are we doing for time?
Got 8 minutes, brother.
Good.
The upside down tree metaphor really starts to make sense
Yes.
when you really start to understand how it's flowing down. And, I think that's kind of what Jung was onto when he was seeking out cultures that were isolated and learning their spirituality and mythology, and discovered that, these things are universal. Just like that story yesterday where Rama stabs the frog and he's like, why didn't you croak? And he's like, when it's, my Lord killing me, I stay still.
Yes.
That story occurs over and over. You can experience it existentially, and it may not have that skin on it, but it's the same story, and it's universal throughout cultures. And, a lot of these things, just like in the Gita, these stories are kind of like archetypal truths that are universal, that flow down that tree. They may have a different cultural skin or twist on it, but it's the same existential experience and story.
That's true.
And the guru flows the same way, and I think he was quoting Sri Ramakrishna, but Sarvadevananda told me, it's like a Chinese, gutter, where each little spout has, one's a lion, one's a tiger, one's a dragon, but the water flows through them, spits out their mouth, it's the same water flowing through all the different heads, just like the upside down tree.
Very good.
Wonderful.
Very
Brother,
well. Yes, Gaurav.
Gaurav here. Joy Ma. The thing is, this body of mine in this birth, I haven't yet come across my guru yet. I don't know if that is ever going to happen, but I seek blessing from Divine Mother herself, and in the form of Durga, and she keeps directing me and guiding me as if she's my guru.
Well, there you have it, you see. What other guru do you need? She is the one who is creating and causing the experience of everything. So if you can have communication with Durga and feel as if she's your teacher,
That's
all the other teachers, including Sri Ramakrishna, would say, I am only an embodiment of the mother. In his case, of course, he saw her as Kali. but Durga, Kali, these are just different names for the same energy. So, well and good. You have encountered your teacher. You may then find other teachers in books, in videos, in person. But if you will poke them and ask them, where does this come from? Well, they may point to Sri Ramakrishna, and so then poke them further. Where did it come from for Sri Ramakrishna?
All I can say, I have I'm getting to a point where I realize there's no I anymore. Means this, it's all her, and that is about it. Means
That
I'm
is
just body right now.
that is salvation, isn't it?
Oh,
There is no I. There is no bondage of small self. That is salvation, pure and simple. If you can really be that, if you can really experience that from moment to moment to moment.
and I'm probably not that part, but whatever I am means attachments to anything, and in a practical sense, like it's okay. Means everything is in her hand, and I'm just there, and the life is whatever she's given me is fantastic. That's all life.
Very good. Now, if you can maintain that attitude, should it be taken away, then you will know that you are truly centered. This is always the challenge for us. As we age, our health gets taken away.
Yes.
Sometimes the physical things of life get taken away. So this is the true test. This is the true test. And my prayer for you is that you come through that challenge with flying colors, that you feel no lack, even though things are taken away. So
Jama.
go, brother, go. Go forward, as Swami Swahananda used to say.
Jama.
Jai.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
just wanted to like sort of add to the conversation that I was having about the transfer of the spiritual power or experience, and you had mentioned about the lighting a candle to candle, and I was thinking that in the presence of gurus and swamis, and when I have that joyous moment and I lose it when I move from the heart space to the mind space and start picking out lacking in my own at this physical being, that oh, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that, and that's why I'm not getting more of this, or the judgment comes in, and then I lose that that connection.
Yes, this is why it's so important to learn to control our attention. That judgment does not deserve your attention. That self-judgment and self-condemnation does not deserve your attention. So when you learn to better control your attention, you'll simply set it aside. You'll release it. You'll let it go. You'll renounce it as being inauspicious and unproductive. And that it'll allow you to return to that joyful state, which is a state of the heart and the Atman, not of the mind and the intellect. So thanks for bringing that up, because that is such a key point. We all find ourselves from time to time in that attitude of self-accusation. How pointless. We are the divine being. Yes, we're embodied. And yes, this embodiment is imperfect. That's because it was designed this way. There would be no no desire, no impulse to self-realization if we were already perfect. So our adventure is made of our mistakes. So as Swami Swahananda used to say, what's done is done. Mistakes are made. What's done is done. Go forward. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. That's such a key point. Do not stand in judgment of yourself. And then you will, this is why Christ said, judge not lest ye be judged. He didn't mean some judge sitting on some throne somewhere. No, he means if you judge yourself, if you judge others, it means you're judging yourself. And judge not lest ye be judged by yourself. And it is painful and it is unnecessary and unproductive.
Thank
So
you.
I brought that up.
Thank you, Brother Shankar.
You know, it took me a long time to understand what the Buddhists meant by clinging. And, you know, and then I came to realize, you know, the mind, the creative aspect of the mind doesn't stop. It's constantly going to write stories and
Yes.
scripts and what all, you know, it doesn't mean they're true. It's all Maya and it's all mind, but, you know, but the learning the ability to not pay attention to it, to just ignore it. And, you know, and it's so hard, but eventually you see it, you see how your attention just clings to that thought and follows it and it takes you away.
Oh, yes.
And then eventually, you know, you like say, you just keep bringing the mind back and you become aware that the mind is never going to stop. Doesn't mean you have to pay attention to it.
No, the mind cannot stop.
Yeah.
It is impelled by the samskaras of which it is made and the touches of the gunas on those samskaras. It cannot stop. It is part of the fabric of the vibration of the universe. It cannot stop.
You know, so the bigger space you can form between you and your mind, realizing that you're not the mind, the less you have to cling to what the mind says.
That is salvation. I am not the body mind. I am not the body-mind complex. I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I'm not the senses. I am that. I am the one, capital O. I am the one. That is my true nature. It is made of joy. It is Satchidananda. It is existence absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss, love, or joy absolute. That is what I am. I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. But we can't, as long as we have a sense that we are a separate being, as long as that persists, we can't say those things. We can think that is the aspiration. It isn't really a goal, because once you've come to that place, then the infinitude opens beyond, the infinite possibilities. But all that is just palaver at this point. We have.
Brother, on that same note, Gaurav, again, this is what I have experienced is whenever this body through me means through this body, what I have experienced is whenever you feel mind is playing trick and you're getting these fantasies and whatever is happening, always continue chanting Divine Mother's name internally. Just keep doing that, and then you become numb to those things and your mind is at a different place altogether. I cannot explain it with words, but and then becomes a practice when you start doing it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, and then you're just always reading the name and mommy, just let me know what it is. I don't want to be this. I totally know mind is playing trick on me or something is beneath me, that the tendencies, as you said, judging somebody or judging myself. I know this is my body. It's just my tendencies. Mom, help me out. Just keep chanting the name, and she just takes you to a place, and you don't do that anymore. And you feel, wow, why would I do that? Why was I doing that? Means no.
Exactly. So here's
Like,
how Chaitanya. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, or her glory.
yes.
Chant the name of the Lord and her glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire,
Oh,
worldly lust, raging furiously within. O Hari, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, chanting his name continually, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in her name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Mother. In
yes.
each and every name thy power resides. So when you are chanting the name, like you said, Yoga, when you are chanting the name, if appropriate, it will chase everything else away. But we go through our lives day to day. It says, as Ramakrishna says, you cannot keep your voice always on the highest note. So you have to do your duties of the day.
Yes.
But one of the things of chanting the name continuously for a long time, I'm talking many, many years now, is you'll find it's always going behind the mind, behind the intellect, behind the samskaras. It is now the most powerful samskara. And the touch of the particularly sattva guna turns it on, makes it, and so you'll know it's there. It's like that fruit in the palm of your hand, there to be consumed.
Like she is the compass. That's it. Means she is gonna center you and put you on the right path, whatever.
Yes, yes.
That's, yep.
Anything else from anyone?
It reminds me, Brother Shankara, of the most powerful and spiritually uplifting 6 couplets by Shankaracharya. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. I am not my mind. I am not my intellect. I am not my emotions. I am not my relationships. I am not nothing. I am not air. I am not water. I am not any of the elements of nature. I am Shiva. I am only Shiva. And I have not found such truth and such deep spiritual lessons unless in these 6 couplets. It's called Shivashtakam.
Very nice.
And
Once again,
Yeah.
Sri Ramakrishna warns us, don't say that unless you really can mean it and
Yeah.
believe it. And
Yeah.
that is only if you can truly mean and feel that I do not have this separate existence that is made of those elements or those things that are mentioned in Adi Shankaracharya's couplets.
Yeah.
So very tricky, very tricky. We go on from day to day with the ideal
Mhm.
in mind and heart.
Yeah.
And the reality of our being being transparent to ourselves. Who am I in this moment?
But it works as a reminder of
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Precisely, dear.
Yeah.
And we need and want to be reminded.
Yeah.
You know, Ajahn Chah wrote a poem called a Still Forest Pool, you know, and basically he's talking about when you become that still pool, how, you know, he likened them to animals, but all the beautiful manifestations that come from the forest to drink from the pool.
Ah, yes. Well, this is exactly the quality of these teachers. They become that still pool. You feel it at their center. That stillness, that centeredness, that love emanating from them, that Satchidananda emanating from them. And so it is like we creatures of the forest. We go to drink from that. And that's why I encourage you, when they're here in town, don't miss out. If you can manage to be in their presence, please do. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara, this is Haima.
Yes,
I just want to make one comment. When Bhagavan Das said still pool, I remember Eckhart Tolle also wrote a book called Stillness Speaks, which is meditation speaks. As
Yeah.
we progress through that stillness, all these other negative thoughts or what we feed into our heads, they all drop like autumn leaves. They one at a time, they keep dropping down. So that stillness speaks to us, our
Yes.
inner journey.
Yes, well, that's it. Thank you, dear. And that's exactly what I mean by when we learn to turn within
Exactly.
and sink below
Yes.
the level where these leaves are dropping, sink below the level of the thoughts and the senses. And we come to this, as his book says, so eloquent, stillness. The silence of the Atman speaks to us. And it speaks to us in a language that cannot be translated into any human speech.
It improves our equanimity, forbearance, everything. It's slowly, then you just move to a higher realm. That's
It improves them because we're manifesting.
They're manifesting divinity within us.
Divine attributes of this Saguna Atman. Exactly, dear. That's exactly it.
Isn't it the same thing like silence is the language of God? Everything else is a poor translation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Poet Keaton said that. Yes.
Meister Eckhart also said something very similar.
Right.
Could you repeat that, please, for us?
Silence is the language of God. Everything else is poor translation. And I heard that Rumi said that, so I don't know who was the original.
Well, no doubt Rumi said that or something very like it. I don't know whether Meister Eckhart ever read any Rumi or not, but he said virtually those exact same words. All right, dears. Anything else from anyone? All right. So until Tuesday then, for those of you who decide to join us for the class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, which is being read to us each Tuesday by Haima. We're well along in the book and having a great good time reading what Mahendranath Gupta M. recorded of the Master's teachings, which were quite deliberately left for us. So that's what we do on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're studying the book, we're reading and discussing the book, Realizing God, a compilation of lectures by Swami Prabhavananda. On Saturdays at noon, we're reading and discussing the book Divine Grace by Swami Ranganathanam. And then, of course, next Sunday, there will be a talk by Pravrajika. I think it's next Sunday, isn't it? By Pravrajika Vrajaprana.
Yes.
Is that when? That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Okay. And then in between, when she's gone, the next talk from here is titled just with this one word, but, B-U-T, but. So we'll talk with you on Tuesday, those of you Tuesday, Wednesday, so on. And I hope you all get a chance to visit with Rajaprana, either online or in person. Anything, any final thought from anyone? All right, dears. This is always such a joy. This is truly what it means to study the art of spirituality together. And we do it well. And it is such a joy to be with you. Until next time.